afternoon. Welcome to your new Feature Friday for August 2023, a Digital Teaching Talk podcast episode. Each month we'll let you know about new features. Sometimes though, we need to provide you a little bit more information, so we're using the medium of video to actually walk you through some of these new features. So in this particular episode, in this particular podcast episode, we're going to talk about some of them that I think will impact you as an instructor, but I think in a positive way. So we're going to work through those. I'm going to kind of flip back and forth between the list of features and the actual how-to, right? The Blackboard view of them and demonstrate them. My name is Jacob Spradlin, and I am the Director for Instructional Development and Support for SHSU Online, and I'm here to help. So let's get down to it, right? Our features. We have a bevy of them, and this isn't even all of the features, but we're going to talk about the ones in purple and maybe touch on maybe one or two of the ones in gray as well. But I just wanted you to know that these are some of the ones that we think are super important for you. But if we don't cover them in this video, I also want you to know that you can go somewhere to get more information about these new features. So let's start there, shall we? When I think about Blackboard and trying to support its use, there's one spot that instructors can get all the information they need about these new features, about how to do things in Blackboard. Some quick tip handouts or quick tip videos that will help them walk through how to add content, how to do tests, what is flexible grading. And that place is our instructor support org, the Teaching Online with Blackboard, faculty resource kind of place, the instructor support org. When you log into Blackboard, you'll access organizations, and then it will show up here. The Teaching Online with Blackboard organization shows up right there. And I click on it to open it. Every instructor is enrolled in this, by the way. Here is where I can find out these new features. We keep track of them. You don't have to keep track of all the new features every time. We will do that for you. So as I scroll down, there's a module in this org called What's New in Ultra. I clicked on it, and I have access to new for Ultra in 2023. So I'm going to click on that right now, and you will see released August 3rd, 2023. That was yesterday. All of the stuff that was, some of the stuff that was listed, the things that I listed on that previous page, all that is here, plus more. So you're going to be able to get access to the extra stuff that I didn't get a chance to talk about by going here and clicking on those links. So you can scroll through here and see the updates for instructors and students, for all users, and so on. You can even go to July and earlier, all the way back to January. Then, should you want to, you could take it all the way back to May of 2022 when we first adopted the base navigation for Ultra in our Blackboard. So, that being said, this is a resource for you that I think is going to be phenomenal because it's going to help you keep track of all the new things that we have in Blackboard. And it's got the links there, so you can jump from there to the place that you need to be. So let's go back to that features list, shall we? Okay, so here we are. The first one we're going to talk about is flexible grading. Now, I'm going to jump right back to where we just were because I want to show you something. Inside that support org, if I close down the module for What's New in Ultra so it pops back up, I'm going to scroll down to where it says Assessment Ultra. I'm going to click there and go to the Introduction to Grading or Gradable Items and Grading. Here, I will scroll down to the bottom of this particular page and notice that there's a Flexible Grading in the Ultra Course View document that I can click on as the instructor. Now, there's a video that walks me through it. There's a PDF, and then there's some screenshots that I can get a good view of. So again, lots of good information that's here for you. We're actually working on a more beefed up guide as well in the interim, but we just got this, so it's going to take a little bit of time, a couple of days, and we'll have it fully updated and fleshed out for you. But I wanted to make you aware that you could find that information right here. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to walk you through using some flexible grading. Flexible grading is a tool inside Blackboard that lets you be more efficient and effective and a little bit more intuitive when it comes to grading tests and assignments. You'll see in specific what I'm talking about because it only applies to those right now. The phase 1 of flexible grading only works for tests and assignments. So I'm going to go to my gradebook inside this course where it's available, which, by the way, flexible grading becomes officially available for you on Monday. It was installed and we're waiting for everything to be configured so that Monday you will have access to flexible grading, which is an exciting thing. I'm going to go find, for instance, a test, right? There are plenty that I can get access to, but it could be that I want to get access to this test here, the new test that was submitted in 7/27, whatever. Or I can go up here to this Getting Organic. I'm going to show you this one first because it has more than one person that's taken the test. So I'm going to click on the Going Organic test, Module 1, and I will click on Joey Clark, just for instance. I could have also gotten here by going through my grid view and finding that column and going to it as well, but I'm going to go through my gradable items list view instead. You're going to already notice some differences. I can quickly move through my students in this test. You'll see all three of the folks that have submitted the test. I can jump from one test to the other and get access to it, all on the same page. I can, once I've graded it, this is an objective test, so it's graded automatically, but if it had an essay question, I would have to do the grading, right? So here, you'll notice the Ava didn't do quite as well as the other students, but that's where the grade shows up. Also, you will see here on the right-hand side the ability for me to come in and provide feedback right in this same view for this flexible grading interface. And I can do feedback. I could even add an attachment. I could do a recording, whether that be audio or a video recording of myself, and the whole 9 yards. So just know that that's there for you. It also works with assignments, but one of the neat things it does is look how it's here. I'm in this test. I can grade by student. I can also grade by question. So when I click on question, it then lists my questions here and my students here. So if I wanted to choose a true and false question number 4, they would all show up for the 3 students that have submitted the test. Ta-da! Were these essay questions, I could grade straight through them. So you see how that's kind of neat, right? This kind of thing has access to you for you. Now, if I wanted to have more real estate on my screen, I could click this arrow right here, and you would see the questions listed here, and then the students listed here. So question 1 through question 6, all here, right? So that being said, note that this gives you more real estate to look at what's going on here, which I kind of like. So that is, in a nutshell, flexible grading. You can see essay questions, and I will show you quickly here what that might look like. I'm going to go back to new test submitted 7/27, whatever date that was, and there's been one attempt done by Jacob. So I'm going to click on that one attempt, and here is the test. Jacob did really well on his first question. Ooh, not so good on the second question, and he missed out on the third question. But then there's the essay question. Note here on this essay question, my ability to come back and leave feedback for the test shows up here as well, because I'm looking at this from a full test view. But I can come in and actually come in and grade this particular test based upon the answer. So if I figured, you know what, he got this right, I could give him the full credit, and that's okay. Hit continue, because I've already graded this. It's an old test. But anyway, so you can see here that I can immediately get in and just grade this one student's test. I could also grade it by question for this one student as well, because he's the only student that submitted for this particular activity. So, in a nutshell, that's the flexible grading. Hopefully it's going to speed up some of your grading. It works well on assignments too. So for instance, were I to go in and find an assignment, I could come in here and let's look at Ava Taylor submitted something for me to grade. It's just an essay. So she typed in her answer, but had she submitted a Word document, it would still allow me to do the annotating grading that Blackboard already does for me right in this box. So I could go in and do markup and put in stamps and graphics and the whole 9 yards that I can do with the grading feature inside Blackboard already. But you can see that I can switch between students the same way here on assignments. So a neat way to be a little bit more efficient and effective while grading. So that's the first feature that we're talking about, is that flexible grading feature. Let's talk about some others. Another thing, some of you who have been teaching in the Ultra environment, and we've heard your feedback on this in specific, have noticed that sometimes when you're grading, the dashes from old Blackboard aren't there. You just had this thing that said grade now. And that became a little confusing because the student hadn't submitted any work. How do I grade? You would know, and I'm going to go ahead and go back to my sharing, you would know that the new submission was kind of your, hey, there's a new submission I can grade, but that grade now was a little annoying. So it's actually gone back to using the dashes. Our good old friend the dash is back. So if there's nothing to do on that specific item, you'll know it because there's a dash there. Nothing has been submitted. So that's one of the fixes that came about this month from the feedback from instructors like you who we have passed on to Blackboard. So again, kudos to you for noticing that and making that a thing. Looking at our features list, there's a couple other neat things I wanted to tell you about. One of those is this feature here called messages availability. This is a big one. This is one that you've also been asking for. And so I wanted to show you how that one might work. Give me a second here. And inside your course, you now have access to a thing up at the top right-hand side that says course settings, where you're teaching. When I click on that, it'll open up a window down here at the bottom and it says messages. Allow messages when turned off. When turned off, messages will be sent via email only. So you're getting rid of the internal message and just using emails the external way. Just know that that's what this particular tool does, and I can bump that off, and then there will no longer be any messages inside my course. Just another of the new features that they've offered. All right, how's that so far? We doing okay? Well, there's other features to talk about. Other features to talk about for sure. So looking here, groups and top navigation. Blackboard has taken and moved the groups access that used to be down here under details and actions to the top level right here where your content announcements that was moved up here in the last couple of months. Now groups shows up in the last couple of months. This is part and parcel of a larger project that Blackboard is enrolling, more to come in September, around group spaces for you and your students. So just know that to access groups now, it's up here in the top in this menu. That's another feature that we're pretty excited about. All right. Now, the Ultra Accessibility Checker is a feature. We already have Ally. We have Ally at the university that helps us know how our content is. In the past, we'd have to go diagnose content we've already created. I want to draw your attention to the fact now that Ally checks as you're building. So here I am in a particular course, and I'm going to add some content. I'm going to click on the Add Content option, and I'm going to insert an image, just for instance. I'm going to come into my Attach button and go to where I have an image, and I'm going to insert it. Now, I'm going to leave off my alternate text, just for instance, just to show you what this does. You'll notice at the top right now that the stuff in there is all 100% accessibility-wise, but now if I hit save, the things that I put, oh, look at that. My accessibility score is now 75% rather than 100%. So why is that? While I'm working on my content, right? You know, and it's not only that. I could have done like a table row, tables, right? And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But anyway, now if I were to click on my accessibility score, it tells me in the middle of editing my content what I need to change. Oh, hey, Jacob, you need to edit your toolkit image description. What would you like that to be? Well, I'm going to say toolbox image with assorted tools and hit save. Ta-da, it even changes my accessibility score to 100% from that 75. And it's doing it while I am building the content, not afterward. So it's a helper as I work through my content. So that's kind of nice. That's the Ally Accessibility Checker working in your content editor, in the GUI, so to speak, where I'm actually building my content, letting me know that I need to fix stuff as I'm doing it. So that's another, again, nice feature, right? So speaking of features, okay, here's a big one. One that I am super excited to be talking about. One that I think you will enjoy as well. And that is the ability to do learning module images. This is something that has been asked for. So I'm going to go back to my screen sharing, and you will see here on this course, it's got these modules in it, right? But it's kind of plain Jane, right? The only graphic I have is up here. Well, what can I do differently? Well, now, as of August, instructors can add images to that front side of their learning module. So here where it says Start Here, I'm going to access my Edit menu, the three dots, the ellipses, choose Edit. You will see now in the side menu here, in the fly out that happened, I have the ability to add an image to my module. I will click it. It will then prompt me to upload a file. And because I am prepared, I will actually get in here and put in a graphic for this Start Here module. And here it is. It gives me a preview of the graphic. I hit next, and it allows me to bring it into focus if I need to get closer or further, kind of crop into where I want it to be. And hit save. Then down here at the bottom, hey, is this image decorative? No, I want to give it some alternative text. It's not just decorative. And I'll say photo of person's feet behind starting line. Start here, right? And then I can hit save. Now, lo and behold, I go from that to this. I actually have an image and it makes the course look better. And that's just one example of it. I could show you another course where I have more of these images so you can see how they might look. As I scroll through here, you can see my modules all have images, giving it a little bit more pop, a little more zhuzh, if you will, for this particular course. So, another new feature that I think you'll like about that I'm going to call your attention to while we're here is that right up here at the top where it says messages, you now get a notification inside your course when you get a message. So when the number shows up right here, boom. Nothing better than that, right? I hated having to look for it elsewhere. Now it shows up at the course level that I've got messages. And that actually prompts me, the instructor, to get in there and read them. This is so much more user-friendly than it was previously. And it is so much more engaging for me as the instructor to see that so that I know I have messages that I might need to respond to. Again, really neat stuff. The last thing that I want to talk about today, one of the features that we turned on for you, and we sent you an email about this previously, is that we turned on progress tracking by default for all courses. Progress tracking is a great tool for you and your students. For students, it is a way for them to keep track of what they've seen, looked at, and done in their courses. Think of it, I like to call it a to-done list, right? So I know what I've done inside my course. For instructors, it provides an extra layer of where have my students been? Have they started this? Have they looked at it? Have they submitted it? Tracking their progress as they go through the course. So I'm going to turn on my student preview in this particular course. And you'll note that when I do so, it gives it a little bit to get in here and get access. And it might take a little longer for whatever reason. We're still waiting. I'm going to exit and try again real quick, just so that we're... Oh, I'm in already. Good. So here we are. We're looking at this course as a student would, right? Notice next to my course information folder, there is a dot. Notice down here in my module for Start Here, there's like a couple of neat things going on here, which I think are great, by the way. But first, course information. Notice when I click on something as a student, so let's say I click on the syllabus. It says, okay, Jacob, you've clicked on the syllabus, you've seen it, it's loaded. When I close it as that student, notice that there's a half checkbox. That checkbox signifies for your students that they have actually looked at it. When a student is done with something inside a folder that's not like an assignment or something they have to submit, they can mark it complete on their own. So I will click here and it will say a green check for me, the student, right? Really quick, if I were to do that for each one of these, opening up that window, coming back and doing that, going to the virtual office discussion forum, going back because it's not a graded one. Now, and then lastly, this orientation webinar recordings page. Now, when I've clicked all of these, it actually adds that check mark to the folder as well, signifying for the student that they have looked at the stuff in here and they're done with it. They can move on. It's a way for them to keep track of where they've been in your course. Now, for you, the instructor, you now know that a student has seen these things. When you go to look at your analytics in your course for a particular item, so as an instructor, I will show you that in a second on the instructor side how that works, but that's kind of neat. Now, look down here under Start Here. Now, this is going to be a little different. The reason this one actually has a nice start button and it'll just say not started, I'm using the force sequential viewing of this module. That means that the student goes through this learning module in order. That's all that means. There are benefits to it. You don't have to use it that way. If I didn't do the forced sequential viewing, you'd have the same box here. It would just say not started rather than the start button. The start button lets my students know that that's where they're starting. So I'm going to click. Now, you will note, because I have that forced sequential viewing on, there's an error here that says, hey, let's go on to the next page. When I click on it, I can't do it. I have to scroll through all of this content and get down to the bottom before up at the right-hand side, I can switch to the next thing, which is a pre-assessment activity. So I will, as a student, click it and go in and type in it, submitted. I did what this thing said I was supposed to do, and then submit it. And I could get my receipt should I want to, and then go on to the next thing. The next thing being an introductory discussion. And I will type in test and hit respond and go on to my last thing in this particular module, and that is the Start Here check-in, which is just a one question quiz that I'm using. So I'll come down here and say true, right? That's it. Submit late. Close. Now, when I look through that first module, Start Here that I just went through is completed, and it tells me 4 out of 4 completed. Now, if I didn't complete a module, these are all, now keep in mind that these modules, if I were to open it up just so you could see what it looks like, you'll see that I have checks on every one of these. Just by going through them, because I have these modules set as forced completion, it will automatically check them as I go through them. If I don't force them to complete, the things that aren't assessments or activities, the students will have to click themselves to mark as complete. It'll be half clicked because they opened them, but because it's not forcing them to go through them in a certain order, it can't be for sure that they completed it. Now, because I have it under forced completion, it does it for them. But if I'm not using forced completion for my modules, which is completely fine, they just have to double click or click a second time on the documents, the things that aren't activities that they submit. Things that they submit will automatically do the check for them regardless. So the neat thing I like about this particular view, and whoops, I'm going to come back here, is I will go on to my second module here and go with, instead of doing the start button, I went to course organizations, the only place I can go. And boom, I'm here, right? I've looked at it. Okay, that's exciting. And I can click on the next thing. Now, as a student, maybe I had to leave my desk for a second. I'm going to go ahead and close it. As that student, it tells me that I have 1 of 5 completed, that I've actually started 1 of the 5 items, which is that second thing, and that I have another 3 to do. So I can hit continue here as the student because I'm using, again, in that linear fashion, that forced sequential viewing. By clicking continue, it takes me right to the activity that I need to do next. This is what enabling progress tracking gives you inside the forced sequential viewing of learning modules. It gives you a little bit more oomph, a little bit more detail. So here I am as that student. Now, I'm going to go ahead and hit exit from my student preview, and I'm going to save my data for just a second. Now, when I scroll down to start here, for instance, I can actually see my student progress in that module. I'm not going to show you this particular view because I have actual people in this course that I'm not sharing their data, but just know that I can then find out when they started it, when they completed it, what time that was, how long it took them to do a certain thing. All those good types of things will show up here. Wonderfully helpful for you, the instructor, right? Again, super exciting stuff. So we've given you a lot of stuff today. Just know that we're doing in the months of August through October, we've already posted our latest digital teaching webinars. One of those is called What's New in Blackboard Ultra, where we cover these things as a little bit more in depth and walk through them. So I hope that you found this helpful. I know it's been a little longer than what we normally do, but I thought it was worthwhile to walk through some of these features that have direct import in your teaching lives. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you learned something, and I hope you have a great weekend.